I remember the cold sting of metal rails against my arm as they rushed me through the hospital corridor. The ceiling lights blurred into streaks, my chest tightening with every breath. Nurses whispered, doctors shouted, but their voices merged into one hollow truth: I was slipping away. The doctor asked, "Do you want us to call your family?" I nodded. Of course. My children, my blood. Surely they would come. Minutes later he returned, his face unreadable. Then the words cut through me, sharper than any knife. "We called your son." He said, "He can't. His wife is hosting a party." A party? I was dying, and they had canopies to serve. The doctor tried again. He told them plainly, this could be her last chance. But their silence spoke louder than screams. My children, the ones I raised alone, the ones I bled for, they didn't come. That night, staring at the sterile ceiling, a realization struck me harder than the heart attack itself. I had raised them to believe my love was unconditional. They mistook unconditional for infinite. They thought I would never leave. They were wrong. I wasn't always this hollow, this sharp-edged. Once I was soft. I still see their faces as children, sticky fingers tugging at my dress, little voices crying, "Mama," in the dark. Their father had left long before they could form memories of him, and I was both shield and sword. I worked 2 jobs, stitched clothes at night under a dim lamp, and smiled even when my bones ached. Every birthday cake, every school fee, every scraped knee, I carried it all. And I believed love would circle back, that one day they would stand as I once stood for them. But as they grew, I watched something shift. Calls became shorter, visits became rarer. Their eyes flickered to their watches when I spoke. My stories bored them, my presence embarrassed them. I convinced myself it was youth, ambition, the natural order of things. Until that phone call in the hospital. That was not nature. That was betrayal. I spent the following week in silence, recovering. My body weak, but my mind sharpening like a blade on stone. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't ask, "Why don't you love me?" Love was a currency they no longer carried. I had given everything, and they had spent it on themselves. So I decided on something else. Not forgiveness, not punishment, something cleaner. A truth they could never escape. I started small. The nurses watched as I signed papers with a steady hand. My will, my estate, the accounts they assumed would be theirs by birthright. I erased their names with a single stroke of ink. Instead, I wrote down those who had truly stood by me. The young nurse who stayed past her shift to adjust my blanket. The neighbor who checked on me every winter. The orphanage that once took my cousin when no one else would. I redirected everything. House, savings, jewelry, every scrap of wealth I had built with blistered hands. None of it would go to my children. They had chosen absence. I chose permanence. 1 week later, they came. I wasn't there to greet them. The bed was stripped, white sheets tucked in neatly as if no one had suffered there at all. Only a single envelope lay on the pillow, my handwriting sharp and deliberate across the front. For my children. I can almost see them now, their faces pale, fingers trembling as they opened it. Inside, just a note. Short, precise. When I needed you most, you chose a party. When you needed me most, you chose silence. This bed is empty because so is my heart. Everything I owned now belongs to those who understood love. You will inherit nothing but this truth. You lost me while I was still alive. No curse, no anger, just the truth, heavier than stone. I imagine the silence that followed. My son staring at the floor, his wife shifting uncomfortably, my daughter's lips trembling, searching for words but finding none. Their inheritance wasn't money, it was shame. And unlike wealth, shame cannot be spent or forgotten. It clings. They would go home to their party lights, their laughter, their friends, but every empty glass, every burst of music would echo with the same thought. We left her to die alone. And me? I didn't die, not yet. I walked out of that hospital with nothing but my name and the freedom of release. No more waiting by the phone, no more disappointment disguised as hope. I had cut the rope that tied me to their indifference. For the first time in decades, I was light, untethered. People call revenge cruel. They picture blood, shouting, violence. But true revenge is quiet, surgical. It is watching your betrayers destroy themselves with the weight of what they've done. I didn't need to raise my voice. I just had to leave them with silence. Because silence is louder than any scream. Now, when the nights grow heavy, I do not wonder where my children are. I know exactly where they are. In their big homes, at their shining parties, surrounded by people who clap at their jokes, but will never